So the Chicago Bears just made a pretty huge statement move, and it's obvious the Bears have something planned here because for the first time this offseason, GM Ryan Poles and head coach Ben Johnson, they were both seen together at a pro day, and it's just a big-time telegraph when that happens. I'm talking about the Ohio State pro day. It's a huge pro day. And now, even at the University of Michigan pro day, that's one that teams never miss. The whole Bears contingent wasn't in attendance. Ben Johnson was there, but Poles, he was over at the Texas Pro Day watching Isaiah Bond just run an insane 40 time. I'll talk about that tomorrow. But both of them were at Ohio State. And you know what? That's pretty significant. And I think we might see multiple Ohio State players selected by the Bears in this draft. You've got offensive tackle Josh Simmons. He actually does have left tackle measurables. Guard Jonathan Jackson. Two really excellent running backs in Quinshon Judkins and Henderson. And all four of these guys are going to be day one or day two picks. And the Bears, they just hold tons of ammo with the number 10 overall, 2 high seconds, a high third. It's just crazy, the draft capital this year. And with tons of talk about Will Campbell. Simmons, he might actually be the best tackle in this class. He might actually even be available in the second round. And now, how would you feel about this in the second round? Simmons and Judkins? Huh? This is a statement move. I think that sounds pretty good. The Bears are serious about Ohio State players. I'm serious about the Chicago Bears. What's up? This is Sean. This is Sports Talk Bears. We built something awesome together. If you're not subscribed, do us a favor. It's a huge blessing. Hit the subscribe button. Would absolutely love to have you be a part of this. Now let's kind of get to it here. Johnson was only one of 6 head coaches who attended this pro day, and actually only 4 teams had the GM and their head coach attend. So those are the teams I want to focus on as far as the main competition for these players. These are the teams that are showing that they're serious about the Ohio State Pro Day. The other teams that had both in attendance were the Falcons, the Steelers, the Saints, and yes, the Chicago Bears. And the only team with higher picks in this draft than the Bears, that's the Saints. So regardless, Chicago's going to get the first shot at these players. Now, one thing that makes Ohio State, one thing that makes them so relevant in the NFL draft, they just continue to churn out successful NFL players. And as far as Simmons specifically, I'm going to kind of break down some of the players. There's a legitimate injury concern with Simmons, but things look pretty favorable for him at the pro day. The interest seems more than superficial. Like I said, Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, also our offensive line coach, also our defensive coordinator were there as well. Simmons is a player of interest. Now, he did 33 reps on the bench at 225. That's huge. That would have tied for best at the combine on his position, maybe overall, I'm not sure, but he also showed really good movement in field drills for someone like 6 months removed from a major leg injury. So it's significant. And there's even some other guys to consider later in the draft. The defensive coordinator was there. We're talking about defensive ends Jack Sawyer, JT Tuamalo, and defensive tackle Tyleek Williams. So there was more than a legitimate reason for defensive coordinator Dennis Allen to be there. But personally, the player that I really like is Judkins. He is the guy for the Bears in my book. The guy's just built like a tank. He's just a complete back. And the Ohio State Buckeyes, they're actually gonna produce 2 different standout players at the position. Of course, we've got Henderson as well. And you're looking at Henderson. I mean, he really came alive this last year as he established himself as like the home run threat on this offense. But Judkins also made himself known, and he really looks like a throwback runner. He's looking like, I'm not going to say Peyton-esque, but he's the kind of guy that when you tackle him, he delivers the blow to anyone foolish to just try to make a tackle with their arms against him. And I like him as a Montgomery in this Ben Johnson offense. Just a really nice compliment to Swift. And frankly, I think he's flat out a better prospect than Montgomery ever was. And you heard this from here. I can't wait for the comments. But I think he looks like a fantastic add to this offense. really stands out as a day 2, late second pick, maybe even an early third rounder. That's a projection. And man, do yourself a favor, watch some tape on him. He just runs with such power. It just looks absolutely ridiculous. So check him out for yourself. I want to continue to focus on Judkins here for a minute. And this is just a big and durable back. Stands at 6 foot, 219 pounds. The guy was a 3-star recruit. He's number 562 overall. That was his recruitment number. But anyways, he's standing as a 2-time All-SEC player. He was an Ole Miss transfer. And the guy just takes care of the football. And this is really a significant positive for Judkins. Over his career, ball security, he fumbled just 2 times over his 3 seasons as a runner or receiver. So some of the other positives on here, this is the player profile. Violent runner, seeks out contact. And that's really cool. A guy that seeks out contests, great balance. He actually delivers a really heavy blow to the defender when he gets tackled. Will almost always break a tackle if he gets in the open space. So good initial burst at the line of scrimmage. He doesn't take long to get to top speed. That's really nice. Really good vision. And he has a propensity for knowing when to hit the hole and when to be patient as the hole develops. He also knows when to bounce out. So he's really known to have a really balanced skill set as far as having the ball in his hands. And he's just a consistent performer too. He doesn't really disappear for games. He's had 3 straight seasons in college of 1,000 yards and 14 touchdowns. And that's while he has been splitting carries with Trevion Henderson the whole time. So Judkins, he's going to please fans too. We like to see physical running backs, right? Guys that want to lower the boom, I would say, on opposing defenders. Not only can he hit the line with just heavy force, breaking tackles is just second nature, and he's shown more lateral wiggle with Ohio State than his time at Ole Miss. So he's actually growing as a player. And I think it's just really, really interesting how he runs and actually how much he breaks tackles, because that's a direct comparison to what we had with Montgomery. What the Lions have, man, that sucks. What the Lions have with Montgomery, the guy out of Iowa State was the leading guy in the college game at the time. He broke more tackles his last year at Iowa State than any other player in college football. And it's kind of looking like Judkins is cut from that same mold. I just think he's a little more dynamic. Can catch the ball, but he could use a little more development there. But also he's on a team with Trevion Henderson, and Trevion Henderson was the 3rd down back. He took almost all the receiving work there. So part of it is that he wasn't really used in that way. I just can't say it enough. I just love the way this dude runs. He's just a one cut and go guy, and he just delivers that punishment to tackles as well. Absolutely no fear. And as far as Ohio State backs, Henderson is the superior blocker between the two, so he does have a couple holes. His top end speed, it kind of pales in comparison to Trevion Henderson. But Trevion Henderson is a home run threat. So let's kind of forget about that. Let's talk about his projected role on this Bears offense. I think he's likely going to play on early downs. I think that's what he did during college. I think the situation he's used best in is in goal line situations. But he's also got the size. He's also got the speed to be the Bears' primary early down back right away in his NFL career. And how much is he going to be used in the passing game? I don't know, but Ben Johnson, that's what he requires of running backs. He's going to be able to do it. And frankly, he's not going to be a 3rd down back. That's not his history. He can play all 3 downs, but most running backs of his size don't typically get used on 3rd downs, because we're looking at, in the NFL, running backs at 6 feet or taller and 220 pounds or heavier, with the most targets in the NFL last season were James Conner and Najee Harris. Those are the 2 leading target getters at that size and weight. Neither of these guys were used often on 3rd down. And while it's unlikely he'll consistently play on 3rd downs, he can be used in 2-minute drills and still catch some passes on early downs. He's fully capable of that. It just depends on how Ben Johnson wants to deploy his backs, frankly. And I can't completely predict how this offense is going to run through the running game or the passing game because, frankly, Ben Johnson said, I'm not just going to take my Detroit playbook and plop it down in the laps of my new players. I'm going to tear this down from the studs, and we're going to rebuild this offense for the strengths of not only Caleb Williams, but also for these other guys, also for your running backs and your wide receivers and your blocking schemes and just everything. And I really like that Ben Johnson's brought in guys from different schools of thought, not just his friends, hiring his friends, but some kind of contrasting offensive minds to try to have a really unique playbook. And I'm super excited about this. Ben Johnson's offense with Swift and someone else to take the Jahmyr Gibbs role or vice versa. I think this is just going to work really well in tandem. I think Judkins is great. You've also got Caleb Johnson. You've also got Travion Henderson. You've also got Armarian Hampton, but that's going to have to be a first rounder to get him. So many good choices, and that's without even getting to guys like Cam Scadaboo. He's my personal favorite guy to watch play. I don't know how his game is going to translate to the NFL because he basically runs like a battering ram, and I don't know if his body's going to hold up to that, but you guys let me know in the comments what you think. Would you like to see Judkins in a Bears jersey? I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.